Are you dealing with low energy, maybe weight gain, prediabetes, or full-blown type 2? And you also have low testosterone? Well, you're definitely not alone. Many men find themselves in this boat, and the link is quite strong. Research consistently shows men with low testosterone have significantly higher risk of developing diabetes, blood sugar issues, and even cardiovascular disease. So the big question then that many men ask is, can testosterone replacement or TRT actually help with our diabetes and our metabolism? Or on the other hand, is it adding more risk to my plate that I don't want? Some claim that TRT actually reverses diabetes and it's the only thing that you should do. Others warn of the hidden dangers behind testosterone replacement therapy and your heart health. The truth is, it's actually a little bit complex and nuanced. Of course, TRT in the right person can actually help manage some of these metabolic problems, but it does come with some critical caveats and critical things that you need to know. The major one being testing pitfalls involved with things like A1C. So today we're going to cut through the hype and get directly to the science behind this and why it's important. Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Taranella, and this channel is all about helping you optimize and improve your health. We'll draw on my over 15 years of clinical knowledge to help answer this question. If you're finding this information useful and helpful, click on the like and subscribe button to continue getting these videos. So the connection is quite clear. Low testosterone often goes hand in hand with things like insulin resistance, increased belly fat, and inflammation. These are all key players in type 2 diabetes. And many men are missing out on this potential metabolic boost from TRT because of incomplete or missing details, confusion, and sometimes fear as well. So we want to make sure that you're making an informed decision, because in the right candidate, TRT can actually improve insulin sensitivity, can improve your body composition, your energy levels, and many other things, but it has to be well managed and carefully monitored. Ignoring this could mean missing this valuable tool and also potentially getting into problems and causing your body more harm. I've kind of used the analogy in the past as you can think of your metabolism as kind of like a car engine that maybe isn't running as efficiently as it could. And TRT comes along and in the right person can be like a tune-up to that car engine, helping the engine burn fuel more efficiently versus wasting some of that energy, some of that metabolism on things that actually aren't going to help the body do what it needs to do to run at its most efficient, optimal capacity. And so that gets into some of the mistakes or obstacles that we see with TRT. And that is that it can't really help with metabolic problems, but we have to make sure we're keeping our eye on crucial monitoring variables like problems with the A1C, insulin resistance, and some other things that we're going to get into. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but many doctors lack the time and ability to go into depth on your lab work or really answer your questions. I've even had patients tell me at times that they can only bring up one thing at a time in a visit, which leaves all these other unknowns with your treatment. And with this approach, it's very easy to miss the forest through the trees, meaning you're not getting the most out of this valuable treatment because you're only looking at one specific thing. So for instance, they may miss the nuance between total versus free testosterone, estradiol versus liquid chromatography mass spec estradiol, high hematocrit versus high MCV and platelets, and critical A1C or blood sugar monitoring caveats when you're on TRT. So let's take a look at some of these specific details so that you're not left in the dark. So first of all, how does TRT actually go about helping metabolic health? And what's the A1C caveat that I've been alluding to? Well, the baseline reality is that low T is going to cause metabolic dysfunction, metabolic problems. Studies consistently link low testosterone to insulin resistance. This means that your cells, like your muscles and even your fat cells, ignore the insulin when it should be using that insulin to help bring up more carbohydrate and glucose into those cells. Instead, the visceral fat, especially the fat around the belly and the abdomen, is working like a sponge to bring in all that extra carbohydrate. That's why people with metabolic problems and diabetes often have big bellies. Collectively, over time, this also leads to more inflammation because those organs are influxed with all that extra carbohydrate. It starts to inflame the tissues. It starts to cause this metabolic problem. This machinery is not working the way that it should. And that leads to higher inflammation, and then damage to those tissues. These are all diabetic drivers. These are all things that drive chronic health issues as well. And so addressing the low testosterone can sometimes turn this around a little bit, and we'll get into some of how it does that, but it's definitely metabolically helpful because it improves the insulin sensitivity. And so that's point number 2, is that testosterone can boost insulin sensitivity. And it does this by helping your body utilize glucose. Evidence shows that TRT can enhance the insulin sensitivity, especially in those muscle cells, which means instead of it going to the visceral abdominal tissues, it's going to go more to the muscle. So your body needs less insulin to manage the blood sugar that it otherwise would be needing much more to do. And insulin's what makes your abdomen expand, because those visceral organs, the abdominal tissue, is more sensitive to it. So it's basically allowing that glucose to be more evenly distributed throughout your body versus just going to your abdomen. Less insulin is always good news, even for the cardiovascular system. And so the other thing, part of how the testosterone helps with insulin resistance, is that it's improving body composition. Testosterone promotes more lean body mass, and over time, it's going to reduce the decline in muscle mass that goes on as we age. More muscle means better blood glucose control and storage and metabolism. Better metabolism equals less inflammation, and that equals less insulin resistance. Another thing is that there's also evidence suggesting that testosterone directly has an anti-inflammatory effect on the body, on the immune system. And I've definitely seen this in my practice too, but certainly we have to be careful not to overdo it. I've made other videos on what that looks like too, so you can check some of those out, but more is not always better. It's really about finding that balance, and that's where the fine-tuning of an engine comes into play. And what it seems like too, as your age goes up, you have to do a little bit more fine-tuning to get things just right. So what about the A1C trap, or the problem with A1C? Well, testosterone, or TRT, often causes something called erythrocytosis, or increased red blood cell production, high hematocrit, etc. When we have this, we manage it by having you go donate blood. And that blood donation is then going to bring down the hematocrit. And here's where the problem is with the A1C. A1C reflects an average blood sugar over a 3-month time period. The life of a red blood cell is about 3 months. When you donate blood, you're going to remove some of those older cells that have been exposed to the blood sugar, and that process is called glycation. The glycation process is how we measure the A1C. And so then we go donate blood, and we remove some of those older cells. Yes, you get some of the younger ones, but then once that blood's removed, the bone marrow gets stimulated to produce more red blood cells. Now you have a new batch of fresh, new red blood cells that have less of that glycation occur. Then you go and get your A1C level looked at, and voila, looks like everything is much better. Your A1C has dropped because of that blood donation. That's an artificially low number. You think that your blood sugar is actually getting better, your diabetes is getting better, or pre-diabetes, whatever it is. But in reality, your blood sugar could be just as bad or even worse. So your doctor needs to know how often you're donating blood. And if you're donating blood 1 or 2 times a year, it's probably not going to have a big impact. But if it's more than that, it probably is. But it does matter how close to the blood test the blood donation is. So the first thing to know is that this can impact your readings. The second thing is how we're going to time it. And if you are donating blood 4 times a year or more, then you're definitely going to want to use a different way to identify what your A1C is or what your blood sugar is, and if that's even a problem for you. And keep in mind too, your doctor may not even know this fact. So you do have to sometimes clue them in to the fact that, hey, we're looking at average glucose, which is coming from the hemoglobin, and I just donated blood. Is that going to affect the test? And depending again, how much time they have and the ability to think through this nuance, they may not really recognize it, but the fact is, it is going to change the test if you're donating blood more than 4 or 5 times a year. Some people are going every 2 months, sometimes even more. So keep that in mind. So some other ways to get around this, or to get a more accurate reading, is you can do home glucose monitoring, the finger sticks. You can also do a continuous glucose monitor, which is the one that sticks in your arm, and then you're getting a Bluetooth to your phone every second of every day. You will have to do that, or would recommend that you do that for a full 90 days. You don't have to do it all the time. But getting a read on it periodically as your health trajectory through time continues, it's good to check that out periodically. There's also a fructosamine test that's only going to be an average glucose of like 2 or 3 weeks, but it's better than nothing. So the other thing to keep in mind is that TRT isn't a magic replacement for all of your health concerns, all your health problems. The best results with TRT happen when you're putting in the work, you're eating better, you're doing more exercise, and it's just a good flywheel effect. You have more energy, motivation to do the things that you didn't want to do before. So you want to use that energy to make sure you're creating the best lifestyle that's going to yield better results from the testosterone. Yes, the testosterone is going to help keep your muscle mass around longer, but if you don't do more exercise, it's probably not going to do as much as you hope. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. The other thing is you want to play it safe and make sure you're monitoring the key things that you need to make sure you're not actually causing more harm, risk. So besides the A1C, you also want to manage your high hematocrit if you do have that problem, which means donating blood. Sometimes it also means making sure that the size of the red blood cells are normal in size and not gigantic, which can happen from B12 and folate deficiency. If you're curious about that, you can check out my other videos on high MCV. Because sometimes testosterone can also have cardiovascular implications like raising blood pressure and also blood clots, we want to make sure the cardiovascular system is in tip-top shape. So you want to be monitoring your lipids and make sure there's nothing major going on with the cardiovascular system. For the most part, testosterone replacement therapy is very safe, including to your cardiovascular system. The data shows that the benefits definitely outweigh the risk, but add in some extra monitoring, some more careful assessment of your lab metrics, and basically wipe out most of those risks. And not only lab metrics, but how you're feeling. If there's symptoms that aren't being addressed, we need to make sure that those are not lingering unnecessarily. So can TRT help with diabetes? Well, diabetes and cardiovascular disease kind of go hand in hand. One of the problems with diabetes is that it causes cardiovascular disease. And as we're saying here, part of that increased risk for cardiovascular disease is the inflammation. It's the metabolic insult from the diabetes. So in the long run, with careful approach and more vigorous exercise and dietary things, it's going to help. For men with confirmed low testosterone, it can definitely improve a lot of these things, the insulin resistance, the high blood sugar. And the other thing is when you can't really trust the A1C because you're donating blood regularly, we also have to reevaluate that and make sure that we're not getting falsely lulled into a sense of complacency because our A1C is going down because we're donating blood. We want to make sure we get an accurate assessment of that. So I just wanted to quickly mention too, for a more deep dive into optimizing TRT and safety and managing metabolic health and lab metrics and even fertility, I created an ebook on testosterone. It's called Mastering Your TRT. And you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description if you want to look into that. So now that we got some of the details hammered out, let's look at the key takeaways that I think are important to understand about this. Low testosterone is strongly linked to poor metabolic health and type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, etc. If you do have confirmed low testosterone, TRT can definitely offer significant metabolic benefits to you, like improved insulin resistance, better body composition, which can also translate into improved lipid values and reduced inflammation systemically and especially in your cardiovascular system. The thing is, we have to remember that because TRT can cause elevations in the hematocrit, and we often go donate blood when that happens, we have to be mindful of the influence of blood donation on the A1C, the hemoglobin A1C value that can be falsely lowered by doing that. Instead, we may want to use other blood sugar monitoring devices like fructosamine or continuous glucose monitor to get more accurate result. TRT definitely gives more benefits in people that are following a healthier diet and increase their exercise. And those that are doing proper monitoring and working with a knowledgeable doctor are definitely going to be better off. What I've seen in my practice is for the right person and most people generally, testosterone is a valuable tool that can help break the cycle of low T and metabolic issues and unwind that process. So hopefully this video helps you better understand how TRT impacts diabetes. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. I'm happy to answer your questions. But if you do want a more nuanced, personalized answer, maybe with a little more research and thought behind it, consider joining the membership program. We'll have more direct access to answering your question. And of course, that will support the work that I do. Now, one question you might have after watching this video is, what kind of impact do vitamins have on the A1C? Is there some? You can find more information on that in this video here.